Hello Dino Peeps, let's talk about the newest news that have been going around since yesterday. An ARK dev has tweeted about what ARK Survival Ascended is and what it is not. Because there has been a little bit of a confusion, and if I look into my comments, there has been a lot of confusion about what ARK Survival Ascended really is. A lot of people say it's just a graphic update, they just make the assets a little bit cuter, they just make the assets a little bit nicer. I have heard people saying, oh, they just lighten up the assets and that's it. No, that's not it. ARK developer Kuda Course, who is the cinematics director at Studio Wildcard for ARK 2 and ARK 1, has been tweeting yesterday about this specific topic, saying, I see the disappointment in the delay, but ASA isn't a simple upres of assets. We are building everything from the ground up, and there is a ton of new systems that aren't in ARK 1. It's truly next gen, and oh my god, it looks beautiful. Unfortunately, we have not seen any pictures, so we kind of have to believe him or we don't. Depends on you if it's really beautiful or not, but considering it's in Unreal Engine 5, it definitely has the potential to be beautiful. But the thing is that they had to completely remake everything is a pretty straightforward thing, I thought, because ARK 1 was built in a heavily modified version of Unreal Engine 4. And even if you would have built it in a normal version of Unreal Engine 4 without any modifications, a game like ARK would have caused a ton of bugs when loading it into Unreal Engine 5. There is no way that a game like ARK would have just worked right away when being loaded in Unreal Engine 5. But if we consider that it's a heavily modified version of Unreal Engine 4, there is no way that ARK would have worked out of the box. But what were the choices? You could modify Unreal Engine 5, which would also take forever, and which would make the game potentially incompatible for future engine updates, or you just redo the game that you have been developing for the past 8 years in an engine that is not modified and that you can update if you have to. And that they chose the second way is logical to me. It hasn't been very logical to other people, and I'm very happy that Kuda Course has talked about that it is a complete remake. There has also been the other point where people say, why did we not see any in-game images? And I understand this totally, because I would love to see ASA content as well. I would love to see more images. I would love to see more than just the in-game assets. But I think that has to do with how Wildcard is developing ARK Survival Ascended. And this is just me guessing. It's not me knowing, but it's me guessing. In order to be able to develop ARK Survival Ascended as fast as they are planning to, and I know there was a delay, but it's still very fast. They have to work at everything basically at the same time, which means they might have to outsource work to other gaming companies. I know Wildcard has been working with Groove Street Games. In the past, Groove Street Games made the mobile game. It also made the Switch version. And they have been working, or have been helping working on ARK 1 several times. My assumption is that they're outsourcing a lot of stuff and that people basically work on everything at the same time, which means everything is like in progress, but nothing is done, so you can't simply show a finished corner of a map because everything is worked on at the same time. It is unfortunate that they can't show content like this, but it is good because that way it gets done quicker, much quicker than, let's say, for example, you have a to-do list and you say, today I finished the map. And then like a few months later you say, today I finished the animals. And you go through this list one by one. Having people working on everything at the same time gets the stuff done quicker, but you do not have something that you can show rather quickly. And then people have been complaining about the communication with Wildcard and that we don't have any info, and then people say we get too much info, and people are not really in sync when it comes to what they think about the communication. What I myself have noticed is that we get a lot of communication that shows us in which state the development is right now. And I know you already screaming or hammering comments in the comment field. Let me explain. What I see is that we get updates to the status of the game to the point of the update. What we see is in real time things changing during the project. And this is, by the way, completely normal. Plans will always change. This is why some studios do not communicate a lot during development and then just announce things when it's almost done. But people have been complaining about Wildcard being too silent. And so Wildcard gives us status updates to the stage where the game is in. That's why yesterday we got the tweet from Jeremy where he says it's going to be a free graphic update, which was later then reversed, and they say no, it's not a graphic update, it is a complete remade game. That doesn't mean that Jeremy lied, it just meant that at the point where he made this tweet, that was the plan. And since I've been studying programming and having projects myself, of course not in the size of a whole game, but in a smaller size, I have experienced things like this myself. I had projects where I had like a plan in my head, and I said this is how I want to do it, and then suddenly this plan changed in the middle. And I had to scrap everything I did because either I ran into technical difficulties and I couldn't do what I wanted to do, or I had an idea which would have made the project 1,000 times better. So things like this happen, and I personally appreciate that Wildcard is communicating these steps and changes in plans. But I know this is not quite the communication style that a lot of people wish to have. People want definite answers and they want them now. This is also not what they can provide at this time, because definite answers need to be made, and in order to make definite answers, there's a lot of consideration during a project. The alternative is that we don't get any communication, like it is right now with the animated series, and that at some point we just hear, okay, it's going to be there in like a month. But I think then people would also be unhappy. So however you do it, you can't make everyone happy. But I hope that my explanation on why things could be the way they are, I don't know it definitely, helped you a little bit to have an understanding on how a project like this is running. And if you have any further comments or questions or however, just write it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Have a good one. Bye.